check whatever needs to get checked. And we're going to be back here in a few minutes. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Becky. Happy birthday to you.
So, which one is it?
Hello, attention everyone, attention. Tonight, for the very reason that this man is pivoting and doing all of this craziness to make us sound beautiful. Thank you. We want to give you this as a gift for you.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate everything that goes on here. And thank y'all for it's going to be a beautiful service. And we're going to do it together. Not to get too high school.
Dana?
You might want to bring a couple.
Did you know she's like going out?
We just started.
Poor guy. She's so good. I'm doing the choir and singing. You're
The choir isn't singing.
Another year down.
Choir's doing it, so I still have some people.
Yes, yes.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome all who are here. Welcome all who are watching on the live stream. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. I'm Mark Skrabatz, your senior minister. Tonight is Christmas Eve, and we're so glad you have chosen to be here with us. Please know this is an all-ages service, which means there will be squeaks and giggles, and I hope there will be. Come on, somebody come through. Along with the singing and the stories, and this is all fine as it should be. After the service, we'll have cookies and various kinds of eggnogs in the fellowship hall. Please stay and hang out a little bit with our community before heading home safely. It's time for our chalice lighting. Since the last Sunday of November, we have been observing the coming of Advent season, the season of waiting. And we've asked so far for patience, light, peace, and love. And now that the waiting is over, now that that which we've been waiting for has come, we light the flame of hope. So please say after me, we welcome the coming of the days we've waited for. We welcome the coming of the days we've waited for. We have realized hope, and yet know that hope can never be realized. We have realized hope, and yet know that hope can never be realized. We commit ourselves to patience. We commit ourselves to patience, to working to dispel oppression, to working to dispel oppression, to working for peace, to working for peace. We commit ourselves to love and to hope. We commit ourselves to love and to hope. And we light these flames as an end and as a beginning. We light these flames as an end and as a beginning, as the symbol of the eternal now. As the symbol of the eternal now. Let's sit back and enjoy our choir as they sing. I wish to acknowledge Carlos Gonzalez on violin. Thank you for being here, Carlos, this evening. Jaime Ramirez, our artist in residence, our accompanist. Our wonderful choir, sing Choir of Angels. And of course, all these people are rehearsed regularly by our wonderful music director, Dr. Susan Dill, who cannot be with us tonight because she is ill. So we hope you're watching online, Susan, and enjoying the fruits of the work that you do week after week with us. And now, the Reverend Nell Newton.
We use different systems.
Old school.
High tech. But I got a printout just in case. Humans need stories to organize our most important information. We create and recreate these stories over and over again to remind ourselves that ritual has power, and to remind ourselves that even something big starts with something small. Small like a baby. As we gather in the growing darkness, let's go back, let's find a story of how vulnerability allows for powerful transformation, and how every night a child is born is a holy night. Tonight, we're going to contemplate some wild and powerful stories, and there will be angels and a star and some wise people and some impossible ideas, and we'll consider what it means to be powerless in the face of change, and why a divine change might come in the smallest, most delicate, most helpless of humans. These are the stories, not just one, but several stories of the birth of Jesus. Let's hear them again. And listen. As we listen, we might be tempted to dismiss the supernatural and the political aspects of the stories, but tonight I invite you to listen with wise ears and see if anything changes. So for tonight, let Christmas come. Please join as we sing hymn number 224, Let Christmas Come.
Christmas,
Sorry about that. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. The virgin's name, Mary. And Gabriel came to her and said, "Greetings, favored one, the Lord is with you." But she was much perplexed by his words and pondered what sort of greeting this might be. The angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son, and you will name him Jesus. He will reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there will be no end." Mary said to the angel, "How can this be, since I do not have a husband?" The angel said to her, "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be holy and will be called the Son of God. And even now, your relative Elizabeth in her old age has also conceived a son. And this is the 6th month for who? For her, who was said to be barren. For nothing will be impossible with God." Then Mary said, "Well, here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word." And then the angel departed from her.
This is the first time that Mary is mentioned in the Christian Bible. And the way she's described, it's very clear that she's just a nobody from nowhere. In my big fat study Bible, it's pointed out that Nazareth is an unimportant village. If Galilee were in central Texas, it would be like Lakey or Luling. Mary's family wasn't important or powerful. Now, if you were God and you wanted to really change things up, who would you start with? Maybe a famous, powerful person, someone with lots of good connections, who would say all the right things and know all the right people. God, for whatever reason, doesn't do that. God's angel shows up in front of a young woman who's living in a dusty town, and she's not even the daughter of the mayor or married to a banker. She's a nobody from nowhere. And yet, she is a favored one. This is our first clue that something is going to be different. Or, as a scholar might point out, God shatters the normativity of heterosexual patriarchy. That's our first clue. And when the angel comes to her, some people interpret her answers as quaking with humility and terror. And I've lived with some young women. They're not all tremulous and delicate. No, they can be wary and contentious. And so is Mary. At first she wonders, what sort of greeting might this be? Who are you? What is this all about? She even argues with the angel. How can this be? None of this makes sense. Something powerful and great coming from me? But upon hearing that nothing is impossible, she agrees to this gritty commission with gritty acceptance. Here am I. In other words, bring it.
Our first reading was from the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 1. This is from chapter 2. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus that all the world should be registered, and all went to their towns to be registered. Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth to Galilee in Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was now engaged and who was expecting a child. And while they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son and wrapped him in bands of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn.
Explaining all of the whys of this part, can you get us out into the weeds real quick? Suffice to say that the author of this part of the text has tried to come up with a really plausible way to have Jesus born in Bethlehem. And this was important because earlier prophecies had said that the Christ would be born in Bethlehem. So even if his family was really from Nazareth, the authors had to figure out a way to get him to be born in Bethlehem. Okay. And no room in the inn? We are so used to thinking about the city, so full of people showing up to be registered that those hard-hearted innkeepers refuse to make room. And poor Mary and Joseph are sent out to the barn. But given what we know of the living arrangements of people living in ancient Palestine, and given the ancient codes of hospitality which are still there, it's more likely that they were staying with relatives. And given what we know of the layout of ancient Palestinian houses, the animals were kept within the walls of the house, just below the rooms where the people were living. And so typically the mangers, the bins where the hay and the animal feed, the mangers were actually just a part of the partition separating the animal quarters from the human quarters, all right? They weren't out in the barn. They were just all squished together, probably with relatives, telling stories. But here's what I love about this snippet of the story. Mary does all the work. Like all mothers, when it's her time to deliver, she gives birth to the child, and she wraps him in the simple bands of cloth. She lays him in the manger. She is the one bringing this change into the world, doing this work. Now, if you were God, where would you place your next big change? On a throne? On a velvet cushion? Or in the fragrant bedding of hay, the food for animals? Where would you situate a revolution of love? Amongst arguing men? Or in the arms of a mother?
plena, Maria gratia plena, Maria gratia plena. Ave, Ave Dominus, Dominus tecum. Benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris, ventris tui, Jesus. Ave Maria. Ave Maria. De gratia plena, Maria llena eres de gracia, Maria de gracia plena. Eres la madre de nuestro Señor, Dios te llena de luz. Bendita eres entre todas tú, y es bendito el fruto de tu vientre, Jesús. Ave Maria. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rob, Jaime, Franz Schubert. Another reading from Luke chapter 2. In that region there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I'm bringing the good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior who is the Messiah, the Lord. And this will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace among those whom he favors."
If you were God and you had some really important news that was going to change the whole world for everyone, who would you tell first? The news media? The governments? The head of the local temple? Well, that would make sense. Tell the people in charge of things, right? But that's not how the news was shared this time. Instead, God sent an angel out to tell some shepherds, young men out watching goats and sheep. They lived out in the country. They weren't powerful or rich. They probably hadn't had much to eat today. And you see, a shepherd's job is to watch over valuable but vulnerable animals that they don't even own. They're the working poor who show up day after day to be underpaid and ignored. No one would ask their opinion, but they are the first ones alerted to this birth. This is another clue that this child is destined to disrupt the social order of the world. Let us sing. Sing of the angels, hymn number 231.
Thank you.
Another reading from the Gospel of Luke. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." And so they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. And when they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about the child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. Mary treasured these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told to them.
If you were God, who would you send to witness something that would upend all of human society? Would you send the mayor? The chief of police? Or even a wise man? Probably. But again, God does it differently. The shepherds are the first to hear and the first to arrive, long before the wise men show up with fancy gifts. They come and report all that was made known to them. They don't even quite know what to make of the news. A baby is born, a Messiah, promising peace. And here we have my favorite passage. Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. Again, she is actively pondering. Like all mothers, groggy from the fatigue of birth and nursing, riding on all the endorphins and hormones, and she still has the wherewithal to ponder. What lies ahead? And how shall I honor this gift?
At this time, we will take up a special offering. All the money given tonight will go to the minister's discretionary fund. This is a fund we use to help those in our community who are in need. It helps with utility bills, car repairs, medicine, and health care procedures and other expenses to help our members and friends. Please give generously and know your gift will lift burdens and worries and be the answer to someone's call for help. I invite the ushers to come forward now and take the offering while we enjoy the music from Esperanza Garza, Dan Weber, and Luis Gonzalez.
Campana sobre campana y sobre campana una, asómate en la ventana, verás al niño en la cuna. Belén, campanas de Belén, que los ángeles tocan, que nuevas me traes. Recogido tu rebaño, ¿a dónde vas, pastorcillo? Voy a llevar al portal. y vino. Belén, campanas de Belén, que los ángeles tocan, que nuevas me traes. Campana sobre campana, alta campana dos, asómate la ventana, porque están haciendo Dios. Belén, campanas de Belén, que los ángeles tocan, que nuevas me traes. Caminando a medianoche, donde caminos pastor, le llevo al niño que hace como Dios el corazón. Belén, campanas de Belén, que los ángeles tocan, que nuevas me traes. Belén, campanas de Belén, que los ángeles tocan, que nuevas me traes.
Thanks so much, Esperanza and Luis. We bless this offering. We bless the hands that have given it and those to whom it will go. May it be so. Thank you. These next couple of readings come from the Gospel according to Matthew. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who's been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." Now, when King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where this Messiah was to be born, and they told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophets." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you found him, bring me word so that I may go and pay homage." Now when they heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star. They had seen it at its rising until it stopped over the place where the child was. And when they saw the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. They entered the house and saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage, and opened their treasure chests. They offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own countries by another road.
The baby is born. The change has begun. And the word has finally reached the ears of power. Naturally, the powerful are made uncomfortable and worried. But notice, the star was first made visible to outsiders, astrologers from outside of Judea. The world is about to change, and the powerful weren't the first to hear it. Think of today's powerful people and how they would react to have outsiders point out that change is coming. I would expect they would react exactly as Herod. Bring the messengers in close, manipulate them well, and then begin plotting on how to maintain power at any cost. The wise men are wise to this. And after witnessing this beginning, they retreat by another road. And we are left to ponder this holy unit of family, parents, child, and the wheel of the heavens above. Please join with us in reading responsive hymn reading number 616, For So the Children Come, by Sophia Lyons-Foss. Why don't you read I'll read the italicized and you read the okay.
Number 616.
Oh, they can read with all of us. We'll read the first two. You read the italicized, okay? For so the children come, and so they have been coming.
Always in the same way they come, born of the seed of man and woman.
No angels herald their beginnings. No prophets predict their future courses.
No wise men see a star to show where to find the babe that will save humankind.
Yet each night a child is born is a holy night. They ask, where and how will this new life end, or will it ever end?
Each night a child is born is a holy night, a time for singing, a time for wondering, a time for worshiping.
Now, may the light come amidst the darkness. We will pass the flame from one to another. As you receive the flame, please hold your candle sideways. As you pass the flame, please hold your candle upright. And then stand in body or spirit to sing together. Silent Night, we will sing the first verse in German and the remaining verses in English. The words are printed in your order of service. the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and the princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to heal the broken, to feed the hungry, to release the prisoner, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among the people, to make music in the heart.